Good afternoon.
Yeah, but everyone has gathered yet. Let's just wait a couple of minutes and we will start. In principle, those who have logged onto the YouTube, you can also join in the Zoom. We will allow everyone here. I see more people coming. Yeah, amazing. Let's wait just for 1-2 more minutes and we will start with our webinar for today. By the way, people who join, can you please comment in Zoom? Do you see the screen? Do you see us? Do you hear us well? You can just add pluses in chat. I will see it. Like that. Yeah, amazing, amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. Great that you hear us and see us and hear. Great, thank you, thank you. Well, I see something with YouTube. It's waiting. Okay, I think we can just slowly start. If anyone will come a bit later, no problem. We will have a recording. I'm very glad to see you all here. My name is Dana. Today I will moderate our webinar. What does it mean to moderate? I will just look at the chat, at your questions and voice them to our speaker and also keep track of that. So it's our first webinar and we definitely will grow and better things. That is why we really appreciate your feedback. Please leave it after webinar or you can do it live when we are speaking. And yeah, we want to grow, we want to get better, but we can't do it without you. We won't stretch too much this webinar, but definitely stay until the end. We will have a few bonuses for you, for salespeople. And just to begin, I want to introduce you to our speaker, Zaki. She has been in sales for as much as 17 years. Can you imagine 17 years? Zaki, I give you the floor and mute myself. Please start.
Thank you, Dana, and thank you everybody for joining us today. I can't say tonight, it's almost evening though. We know the South African skies are still very, very lit with the sun. But thank you nonetheless for taking the time and coming to see us. We hope that our little bit of an introduction to what we've seen or what I've seen over the years in the sales industry is informative and captivating, and I hope that it becomes very, very interactive. So at any point, if you guys want to ask a question, please pop it in the chat. If you have something to add, definitely pop it in the chat. Let us have a conversation. It's definitely not a one-way street, even though I definitely can go on talking for forever. So yes, Dana's very, very right. I've been in the sales industry for more than 17 years. It's closing on to 20 years, giving my age away. But I have been predominantly in the IT space. I've been in production. I've been in chemical engineering. I've not just stayed in one industry. I've been in a lot of software and robotic process automation. And having gone through so many different industries, I find that I've picked up a few nicks. I've picked up a few talents. It's definitely helped me. And obviously I've learned a few things from a lot of people that I've obviously passed. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to have an open discussion for now. I'm very interested to hear what industries you guys are from. We're interested in what positions you are. We want to understand what was your interest in cold calling and why the topic grabbed you. So if you can pop some comments into our comments bar, and we can just have a light conversation about it. I know that when we looked at the registration, we had a lot of cleaning services, we had some tech services, we had some IT services. We had quite a lot of debt review, and it doesn't look out of the norm for me at all, because these are all companies that I would associate high sales or high telephonic sales, because that first touch is important, right? Um, I think from my side, I would say every industry across every sort of walk of life would definitely have to have some kind of telephonic touch. I think as much as we want to move into tech and virtuality, the telephone is not going to be left behind anytime soon. Let's see what we
Exactly.
have.
I see in chat that here are a lot of people from digital marketing, global business services, work
Very
with
nice.
sales, with business development.
Okay. So business development is a very large area, because as business development managers, you can literally be a business development manager of any industry. You could be in the tech space, you could be in services, you can be in retail, you can be in uh, property and development. You literally could be everywhere and anywhere. And when I say everywhere and anywhere, I think we all could agree that no matter what our industries are, we're all here for one reason. We want to know how to grow our revenue, how to grow the bottom line. That is obviously in our South African market, not sort of serving us anymore. And I guess even if the market was brilliant for South Africans, we would definitely still be wanting to sort of broaden that bridge at the bottom, because I don't think anybody's standards are to stay where they are. It's definitely to grow and to prosper, and that is why we are salespeople in the first place, because we agile and we can't sit still, and we've got to chase something. So I think it's the passion behind what we do and how we do it that gets us to, I wouldn't say perfection, but nearly there. So I'm going to share a bit of my tips.
Yeah,
Um,
shortly. We also have here ed tech, like education technologies. We
that's
have
a
real
very good one
estate,
as well.
legal, and communications, like telephony, like us. Yeah, and also, yeah, again, telecommunications, voice and data solutions.
Yeah, voice and data solutions are quite a big one. I will be honest, it's a space that um, is definitely, you can never have enough of. It's a price war out there, and you've got to stay on top of it. So when we're dealing with things like price wars and sort of, I would say, markets that are saturated with the same companies everywhere, we've got to have something different. And as salespeople, that's definitely got to be our value, right? And when I say value, I don't mean dropping a present at the customers and saying, hey, I'll drop another one next week. When I say value, I say it's that personal touch. It's the way you do things. It's how fast you react. Um, in all my years of sales, I think I've held one thing very closely. I've always been on the run, and as a salesperson, sometimes you are on the run, not always on a telephone or fixed to a desk. And the one thing that I've always done is South Africans are big on email. And I get that, right? We no longer have a paper trail. So the paper trail's gone virtual, and email is what we stick to. So what we do is we send an email, and we expect a response. And it's right, you should expect a response. So what I would do is I would load my email on my mobile, um, and just telling somebody, I've received your email. I will be in the office in the next hour, 2 hours, 10 minutes, whatever it be. They'll appreciate that, because you immediately responded to the need. Not that you fixed it immediately, but you responded. So the value aspect of our sale is what is more important than the money aspect. And that's when you come to realize that you've got sort of something good going. What you want to do is get into the space where people are buying from you for relationship, and definitely not for the price. And you could have potatoes at the same price as Mr. Next Door, but he's going to come to you because he knows you, because he knows that even though your potatoes are more expensive, he gets that added value. He knows that he's going to message you right now, and you'd give him a response, and you'd get back to him when you said, and all those other things. So in essence, when we look at a salesperson, and it's a big debate, right? We've got the debate whether sales is customer service or not. And I would definitely agree. I bet my life on it, actually, that sales is customer service first. It's customer satisfaction. I don't believe that any one person can sell anything to anyone, probably on a once-off basis, but you're not going to retain the business if you don't have that relationship that you've built with trust. And that comes with helping someone, that comes with serving someone. So it's a very service related or customer satisfaction related issue. Although some salespeople would like to sort of segregate it or maybe separate it from that. I don't believe the one can coexist without the other. What else do we have there, Dana?
Here we have a question about would the session be specific to South Africa cold calling, or will we touch international cold calling? I think Zaki, you can answer. It's not only about South Africa, but we are based in South Africa.
Well, I'll be very honest. We're an international company. We've the greater part of our company has been around for about 20 years, and Selmo itself has been around for 10 years. And that is on an international basis, on a European scale. So yes, we are tapping into South Africa, and we're trying to disrupt the market, bringing something that is very, very cost effective and equally as agile and very, I would say, it's scalable in ways that you wouldn't imagine. And I think that's going to be the breaking point for what we're doing. But we definitely can touch on what it also what it would look like on a global spectrum. I think that when we do cold calling, or when we look at cold calling, there's nothing really different when we look at market to market. I think that a lot of the world has the sort of I would say they have the notion that, telemarketers, and they keep phoning me, and they're this and they're that. The problem is that customers don't know they need something until you make them aware of it. And as a salesperson, I think that's the important thing. When we're making these cold calls, whether you're selling insurance, whether you're selling a holiday, there's a certain target market that you're selling to, and there's a reason for that. If I'm selling an upscaled holiday, I'm obviously going to look at someone who's got some bucks and they're ready to spend it. And he's not going to want to part with them, right? Until I make the value and I ascertain that this is exactly what you need. You've been working X amount of hours, and it would take you that relationship to get that information. So definitely not just South African. I think what we take away from today's session can definitely be touched on in a global aspect. I have been dealing with international clientele for more than 7 years. So yes.
Okay, I think we can go to next steps.
Okay, so sales in the South African market. I think here we want to touch on just what cold calling is up to in our market at the moment. What's prevalent where telephony and voice is concerned, and obviously what it takes to get from that cold call to get to that warm call, right? Which is why we're all here. So I think for cold calling, it's a lot of how do I say this? There's a lot of deflation when it comes to someone's ego or their confidence. I mean, 20 calls where someone said no is going to affect you on some level, no matter how much of a sociopath you want to be. Because we know there's some that aren't affected by that. But it's going to get to you, right? It's going to do something, and you have to have the know-how as a management team, and definitely as an organizer or a boss or an owner of a company, to sort of maintain your upskilling, your up or I would say it's EQ, or the emotional intelligence of your agents. And you're going to have to look for that in different people as well, when sort of hiring or appointing people for these positions. Cold calling takes us back to the inevitable callback, right? So you make the call. It's a landline, and you hit that gatekeeper very hard. And that gatekeeper seems like, your worst enemy, because I can never get through. But that's actually your best friend. The gatekeeper knows everything about the company. She knows who does what, how they do it, how many times they do it, and why they do it. And she knows how much they pay, which is quite important to you. And that's all the information you need. So sometimes we're going for the kill, right? And we phone up the gatekeeper and we ask, hey, can I find out who's responsible for doing your traveling or depositing of your state? What is this? The sanitary ware, or taking away your rubble, or whatever else it is. And immediately she would say, I'm sorry, we already have somebody to do that. It's a beautiful line. Don't you just love it? Please tell me you do. So that's the best line, right? I'm sorry, we already have somebody to do that. And right over there, you've got shut down, right? Your best chance to do that again is to make another call and not sound like yourself, which a lot of the times doesn't work. So when you call your gatekeeper, you must be calling for her specific, her, him. That's most of the time a her. Um, these gatekeepers are not necessarily looked after. They aren't appreciated, or sometimes they are, but definitely not from the outside of the company, right? People come in, they see the receptionist, whatever, and they just go to where they're needing to go to. um, you need to cozy up to your gatekeeper, make her feel somewhat important to this whole plan of action, right? And explain yourself fully. Explain that you're understanding that they may have a certain supplier for this already. You're very happy that they do, and you're sure that the working relationship is wonderful and they're a great supplier, because we never talk down on our possession, right? Um, and then you tell her all you're needing to do is sort of give her the benefit of the doubt that she's getting absolutely the best service. Sorry. And obviously price and value that money can buy. And there's so much things, and I can go on endlessly, because this is my favorite topic. Everybody gets it wrong. Everybody calls a gatekeeper and asks for the decision maker. So down to the decision makers. Decision makers are tricky, right? They never have enough time. They're always busy. And even though they make the decisions, again, they do not know who the suppliers are. Sometimes they do, but most of the times they don't. Most of the times they are trusting the gatekeeper because they're too busy. So even if you get to the decision maker and you forged a relationship, he might still go back to the gatekeeper and say, so who do we trust for this? And who are we doing this with at the moment? What are they giving us? So always keep the gatekeeper in your back pocket, basically. And then name dropping. I think for me, along the years, name dropping is quite important. It just sort of warms up that call a little bit, when you know somebody within the company. So your best bets for that is go onto LinkedIn, find out what that person does, what is their designation in the company. Do you want to speak to them? Or find out who the receptionist is. Do lots of research before making your actual first call. A lot of the times, companies will have their whole entire teams listed on their websites. And by that, you could get the gatekeeper's name. You could say, hi, Ellen, how are you? and immediately she just warms up to you because she thinks, oh, this person knows me. I like this. And it's interesting to see how people warm up when you actually take note of them. I think a big thing in South Africa is getting people's names correct as well. So when and if the gatekeeper does let you go to the decision maker, always, be very, very sort of thorough to ask, um, is it spelt like this? Is it pronounced like this? Is that a lady or a man? Because there's a lot of things that happen, especially in our market today. So, if you guys have any questions on cold calling, I'd love to hear it. Please pop it in the chat, and Dana can give me
You
just a
catch my
rundown of what's
thoughts.
going on later.
I already wrote it in in chat. Please ask any questions. Yes, guys who are watching YouTube or in Zoom, you can write down it in chat, and after a webinar, we will kindly answer, or maybe we will make like networking session. We'll see.
Definitely. Okay, so let's go to um, telephony. Let's speak daily telephony. We all know the big war that's happening, I think, between the digital and the analog world. I think there's a big switching off of our analog. It's definitely happened with the TV. I can't get enough of SABC sending me the same SMS 20 million times. I get a grip, I have Netflix. I don't even watch the TV. So that's definitely like, it's on our doorsteps. But I still find when I walk into a customer, I will find legacy where there. I'd find a Siemens analog, or I'd find Samsung analog.
Uh, I don't know. It's from my side. I think it's not from my side. It's from Zaki's side. Let me ask her what happened. Fortunately, I don't have her presentation. But she stopped on digital and analog. Let me try my best, but I'm not so big expert here. Let me think. Sorry for that. Let us wait for Zaki. Maybe she will join us from the phone. It's better. By the way, do you have internet now? Do you hear me? Because some regions there are load shedding and there is no chance to fix it. Yeah, okay. Then let me think. Let me tell you maybe about predictive dialing system and power dialing. It's super popular now in South Africa, and now this region working hard on it. About predictive dialing, it's an integrated software model. It works through contact database. It speeds up productivity in your sales department, helps managers turn more leads into clients. And with a predictive dialer, you definitely can customize your client's journey from start to finish. Predictive dialers usually collects and analyze data to determine which agent is available and can answer first. The more data it collects, the fewer time clients spend waiting. It's super easy to work with the predictive dialing when you work with cold calling. By the way, I also have this presentation. I will share my screen, and maybe while Zaki is connecting, I will tell you about some success stories using predictive dialers. Let me show you. Yeah, sorry for that, but we all know how it works in South Africa. Well, we have some success stories using predictive dialers in Salmon, but of course, we are not the only one company in the world who work with it. But anyway, we had some clients with their own problems. They came to us and we tried our best to fix their cases. First interesting case was with such problem that the crux of matter was that the sales department didn't have capacity enough to process all incoming applications. There was thousands of applications, and in the result, with the predictive dialers help, they made like 90% growth. Sorry, Zach is calling. I will try to connect her maybe like that. Mm. Yeah, Zaki is coming back. Sorry for that. Um, it was network issues as usually. Wait a second, please. I will share the link with her. Um, yeah. Thank you that you all stay here. What is the best way to generate leads? In my opinion, I see, Daniel, your question. You know, it's a very important question. I can say the most important one. From my side, from my point of view, the best what we can do is make the right funnel of leads. First of all, you take in this funnel all your potential clients. I don't know that there can be thousands of them, but you need to understand how many clients you can call and connect, maybe omni-channel way, how many clients you can connect in 1 month, for example. After you make cold calling with all these people in the first step of funnel, you go to next step and make them warm. Zaki, are you here? Finally? Mm, I think you're here. Yeah, you're here. And you turn on your sound. No, you're on mute. Just turn on your sound. Yes, I will share a presentation for you. But while I'm turning on the presentation, please answer Daniel's question about lead generation. I already started from cold calling funnel, yes, and the first step. You can proceed with the next steps.
Thank you so much, everyone. Typical South Africa lets us down. So I'm joining from my mobile. This is so, it's cringe. I don't know what other word to use. It's a bit cringe.
But we hear you well. We hear you well. Yeah.
Awesome. What was Daniel's question?
Daniel's question was about the way what is the best way to generate leads? Yes, how to work with the funnel. I started with the first step of funnel, cold calling, but maybe you can tell more and we will go through predictive dialing and where you stopped. Okay.
Okay. So I think just to sort of address Daniel's question, first of all, the lead generation for me is it's definitely to each their own. But there are some ways around really getting some good leads. So a lot of people think if you just go on Google, obviously there's some numbers, and there are people over there. Definitely marketing is your best bet. You want to put something out there and have people drawn to it. You want to have them already asking questions, or at least inquisitive about what it is that you're doing. And then I have always, always, always believed in the Yellow Pages. It's the most up-to-date book besides the Bible. But definitely, the Yellow Pages for me, I think that it gives you an awesome spectrum of businesses. It tells you how big the business is, how small the business is, and then you can sort of um, gauge from there what your target market is, and say you're looking for an enterprise customer. You can look at enterprise customers in that way. I definitely think that lead generation from a telephonic point of view is definitely a good thing as well. It's definitely something. Um, I think when people are just doing lead generation, definitely referrals, and again, name dropping definitely helps. So if you do have, you'll start close, you'll start with customers who already have your services, and ask them, what's around them, or even don't ask them, go and have a look what's around them, because a lot of the times businesses that are in the same areas, they know each other, they know who the owners are, they have some kind of community, and on that community, you can build. So if I've got a customer in Athlone, perhaps it's higher at Athlone, and I know that I want to get perhaps all the businesses on that block. I'm going to go and tell them that, look, I'm calling to find out if I can come and have a meeting with you, if we can have a conversation. I'm already doing business with Hire It. This is what we're doing for them. This is how it's helped them. And obviously, that way you will build a rapport with with that customers, or with those customers. And it always helps that you've got something familiar, or something sort of in common that you can, or common denominator that you can actually just sort of lean on and get a better perspective. The customers, they definitely do trust then the call, and then it's not really a cold call, right? I definitely think that those are the ways to go. I think if you guys have any other suggestions, I'm very open to it. I'd love to hear about it. We were talking about VoIP and analog. Sorry, I'd actually like to just ask the question, Daniel, does that give you sort of, or does that answer your question? Okay, Daniel will just let me know if Daniel's answered us or not. Oh, Bravies, yes, I like them as well. I like them as well. But I find that some of the information is quite outdated. I have looked at them as well. I think that um, more often than not, I'm phoning on those leads, and I'm thinking, when I get through to them, a lot of the buildings, or a lot of the companies have closed down, the buildings are no longer there, or they've moved. So I'm not sure how updated they are, but it's definitely something for me to check out, and thank you for the tip. Let's see. So, national analog change, we've covered that. And then the human versus the robotic interface. I think that we're moving very, very steadily to an automating, or an automation journey in our tech lives and in our spaces. But I don't think that we'll ever fully remove the human interface. And I think that that's an important part, because all of us still need our jobs. Um, but there are some processes, there are actually a lot of processes that are mundane, that are repetitive, that are sometimes complex and sometimes simple, that we can sort of take out of our human hands and put in a robotic interface. Number one, possibly to save time. Number two, to save the human error. There's so much that can be sort of forged with robotics at the moment, and that's sort of where we're leaning to with what we're speaking about. So when we look at the cost difference between all of these platforms that offer these different things, and like I already said, when you look at a telecom bill versus a voice over IP bill, when you're making those calls over a data range, number one, you're getting a better, a more stable connection. I think that copper wire, we've still got a long way to get rid of the copper, but it's going to be there. But you're getting a stable connection, you're getting a global connection, you're getting a connection that can be pushed through any different system, whereas if your copper's down, it's just down. And definitely the costing. The costing is vast, it's very vast. So those are obviously the pluses to going to a voice over IP or rather data system, digital system than an analog system. So I'd like to ask the question, who understands predictive dialing or just a dialer and an auto dialer? Who's heard these sort of terminologies? Predictive dialer, power dialer, auto dialer.
I don't see any comments for now. Maybe, yeah, typical call center, first comment.
Yeah, typical call center. A lot of the big ones do use dialers. They do. It's a better interface. It's easier for a mass sort of definitely call center. It's easier for a sort of mass, I would say, management, right? But when we look at these technologies, and we find that all of these big call centers are using them, and we look at them on a small scale and how they can actually push just a normal business. I'm talking about a 2-man show, a 10-man show, a 50-man show, 100-man show. There's amazing capabilities within these things. Now, the differences between a dialer, an auto dialer, a predictive dialer, and a power dialer is there are heavy differences, right? I think for the most part, we wanna sort of touch on the fact that a lot of people think that auto dialers are just an automatic way, and it is for the most part. It's just an automatic way of sort of getting numbers to be dialed all the time, but it's not an intelligent system. So there's no real AI to it. There's no sourcing out beeps or unanswered calls or subscribers not available, and there's no real efficiency to it, if I can put it that way. So if you just want to go through a bunch of numbers and you've got a dialer, or you're just sitting as a receptionist, well, I think a receptionist would do great with a power dialer, to be honest with you, and possibly a predictive dialer for incoming, an IVR. But if you're just looking at just the dialer, it's awesome. It sits on your computer. You don't need to use your hands. You're able to use a headset. Then that's fine. But when you're talking predictive dialing, when you're talking power dialing, then you're on another plane. You're on a plane where you are wanting to increase the quality.
There is a comment, like also very impersonal. Clients are on the other side saying hello before the dialer picks up on the sales agent side.
That is true. Those are the problems with the dialers, because there's not a lot of intelligence, and you sort of leave the customer, and you don't want the customer to think that there's a robot on the other side. We still need to keep our personal touch, which I think is very, very important in sales. As much as we are moving, through a sort of robotic type of technology, we want to keep it as fresh as possible. I don't know if that sounded good or not, but okay. We want to keep it as real as possible. So we want to be able to have an intelligent system that's going to dial us a bunch of numbers, sift up the ones that are doing all the funny beeping and not answering and subscriber not available, and then give you a set of numbers that are quality, that's going to be answered, that you can have actual conversations with. And obviously, when you get to the other side and the person's not wanting to have the conversation, I mean, that's a different thing. It's not to do with the dialer, but they gave you the shortest possible route through all of those calls. So let me put you in a picture. So you've got 100, make it 200 numbers. You've got 200 numbers on your base. And today might be the day. As an account manager, as a salesperson, I would always have, uh, a, a 15-day touch, once a month, bi-monthly, depending on what the customer needs. And today was my bi-monthly touch for 200 of my customers, right? And I would get onto the phones and I would start phoning and do assessments and find out what they've been doing, find out where they are, what's their roadmap, whether it was IT or what they're busy with, if they've got any projects, can I help with something, that they're feeling any pain anywhere I can resolve, that sort of thing, not physical pain, obviously, their business pain. And, to be able to go through all of those numbers and then to hear teet, 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 or love that sound though, or hear subscribers not available, or to have it ring a million times in your ears. So the predictive dialer and the power dialer, they're smart enough to pick this up. They'll give you an average amount of dials and then they'll dial the next number. They'll give you only the numbers that have actual people answering on the other side. So it's quite an intelligent system. And when I think about it, I can't even think of the complexity that has to go into actually making them do that. So to me, it's amazing, right? So we've got to know what we're getting. You don't want a dialer. You don't want an auto dialer. If you're looking for those things, you're not looking for revenue or building a sales team or building more sales for that matter. So I think
I think we can go. I think we can go to objections. What do you think?
I think I'd like to touch on the warm calling. I think
okay.
only for
Let's touch it a bit.
we haven't got a lot of time. I think just sticking with our topic, when it comes to looking at those cold calls and everything we've spoken about and how we get to the warm calls, we should remember that when we get to the warm calls, we need to keep the sales workflow. We need to be touching the customer regularly. We need to be understanding what their needs are. And it means a full needs analysis before we even go into quotations or understanding what we're going to give them. We need to help them first. And that's what makes that call the warmest, right? Not just that he knows your name and he understands that you're from company X, Y, Z. And then where do you go to from your warm call? From your warm call, you go to the assisting mode. You don't go into sales mode. You go to your customer service agent, and that's the jacket you put on there. So I think I've said this before in our sales. In our sales flow, in our workflow, a lot of sales people would like to cut it out from our workflow, and I think that that's the biggest part. So Dana, let's see what's next. Awesome, the one we like, sales objectives. I think these objectives are very, very basic. You guys can see complex solutions. Some people are not very comfortable selling or speaking about complex solutions. Some people can sell sales or can sell products, but they're not good with technology or text or tech talk. They're not very, very technologically minded, so they can't break things down or put it in a more layman's terms for customers, which a lot of the times they need because they're not the salespeople. They don't know our product, right? And that's what we've got to do. We've got to be able to sort of almost dumb it down and say, this is why I'm here. So it's just what we spoke about: wrong numbers, demotivation, low morale, undone KPI, staff turnover. Very big sort of point for me is that a lot of companies think, let's just replace them, when you can teach somebody a skill. I don't believe that sales is just in your blood. And yes, there's some of us that are born to actually take it on. We are empaths. We understand how people work and how they feel, and we use that to our ability. But you definitely can teach someone a skill. And I think that when you coach someone or you put them in a place or a position where they can thrive and where their abilities are meeting, and again, it's about responsible hiring, right? You need to look at what is that person's capability? Are they going to fit into the scope of what I'm needing them to do? So that would be, I think, for the best part, my objectives. I think the other objectives that we can talk about are just people saying no out of the blue. I think that selling really starts when someone says no, I'm not interested, because that's where it starts. So why are you not interested? And never be afraid to ask those questions. Is it perhaps the price? Are you using someone else? You know, how am I able to just give you some constructive pricing? You can just have a look at it. It's non-obligatory, that sort of thing. And that's where your sales starts. That's where selling starts. And then you're not assisting, you're selling. So I think a lot of people get confused with that, and they hear no and they think, oh, off to the next, and your actual salesperson, if they've got it in them, is going to get excited when someone says no. Definitely, because I think that's my biggest trophy. It's making people do what they thought they wouldn't do. Obviously, not in a bad way. It's definitely for the company's best interest, and it's making them see the beauty of the product through your eyes. I think that's what it's about. For me, in any case, I think that at any time that I've been really, really successful at the sale is when I truly believed in my product. And I've always done that. I've looked at the product before I've taken the job, and I've looked at and ascertained, do I believe in this? Can it help people? Is this something that I really want to back? Because that's what they're going to see. If you're excited about your product and you're enthusiastic, and you love exactly what it does and how it's going to do things, and how it's going to help people, and you've got that doctor feeling. I'm helping people. That's
Yeah,
the love.
British say that he agrees with you. Me too. Definitely.
That is
100%.
the love for me. And people look at sales as the rat race, but it's not. It is a beautiful place to be. It's a marvelous place to work. If you have a passion for people, if you have a passion for putting great solutions with awesome people who needed that, and then just the gratitude out of that, it's never really the commission. It's being able to help people in all those relationships that you pick up along the way. So Dana,
And
what do we have?
yeah, here I think we can go to rebuttal to this objections. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Rebuttal.
Rebuttals. I love rebuttals. You know why? Because I feel, or I take it onto myself. I also think I'm a unicorn, but like we're not going to touch on that right now. But I definitely think that I associate myself with a rebuttal. I'm the question. And when you look at yourself like that, and when you have that type of esteem about yourself, your customer can feel that about you, and that's why that no does not, it doesn't sway me. It just means that, okay, so here my job starts. When you think about yourself like that, then it's not really a rebuttal. It's really your purpose, right? So when you've done absolutely everything you need to do, and the groundwork is the important thing, right? You research your customer and you research your customer's business, and the two are not the same. When you research your customer, you're doing Google, LinkedIn, who they are, what they do, what their products are. When you research your customer's business, you want to know how they do it, why they do it, where are the pain areas, how can you make them do it faster, cheaper, better, you know. Um, and then obviously there's the gatekeeper. The gatekeeper should be a plus. She should not be a negative on the side. She should be your best friend. She should be your confidant. She should be the one that it's the first person you're going to hear on the phone. And it's easier once you've got that relationship to go ahead and call your decision maker first, or your buyer, or whoever it is. But I promise you, when you go and you pick up the phone and you rather call that landline to get to your gatekeeper, you keep the relationship fresh. Remember, some of those people sit there for years and years and years, and they know everything about the company since it started. Um, and that they really are the dinosaurs. They're the diamonds, yeah. And a lot of us, we would overlook that just to sort of get through to the sale, get through to the sale aspect, and we're chasing the number. And sometimes we need to slow that down, or the number is just going to be a number. It's not going to be a growing number. So obviously decision makers, they obviously play a big role, but that would go back to your gatekeeper again, like we said before, and then process of decision making. I think everybody sort of, they would dismay this one. I think that it's important to know the process that your customer goes through when doing procurement, whether it is for object, whether you're in the right department, how these departments work, whose hands your paperwork goes through, because all of those people are going to have some kind of influence. You don't just want to know your decision maker, you want to know all of them. Okay, so we're going to go to some real-time success stories, some very huge corporations who started quite small. And then, you know, as time went by, they used Salmo to grow their revenue and to grow their company. So first up, we've got a little company. We didn't mention their names over here. Let's just see. But the full story is over there. It's on a QR link, QR code. You're welcome to go and read that. And obviously there will be a sort of a recording and a copy of this sent out. You guys are welcome to read the success stories. They're super, super real. I don't believe in fake success stories. It's just, it's not sustainable. So the problem for the customer was that they had sales department with very, very few people working there, obviously because they couldn't afford to pay them anymore, or to pay for more staff. But they had hundreds and hundreds of incoming applications. And the operators are now spending 6 hours talking and managing to those customers. There's like 360 clients per day being actually seen to in a positive way, having quality conversations. And that's not giving out any extra effort. So it's no overtime, it's no absolutely nothing. All Salma has done is just sort of, it's streamlined the way they called. It's given them a focused platform to do exactly what they needed to do and nothing more out of that. So the growth for that company was something like 90% over 1.5 years. I think it's 1.5 year span. Yeah. So they grew from 4 people to 55 people. And you can obviously imagine that those 360 clients are now exponential. Okay, this time it was Max contractors. They contracted us. Basically, they were already using an auto dialer, and we discussed what auto dialers do. But obviously, it didn't bring much success to their sales department. It basically just had the calls going all the time, and that irritating thing where you have the customer saying hello, hello, because you're not there when the call is actually answered. So that's a bit irritating. And then it feels sort of like just a cheap telesales call. When we're not just cheap telesales people, we are proficient account managers. We are managing these accounts very, very well and to the best of our ability. Whether we're using a telephone or we're going to visit them in person, it makes no difference. So I think the way that a predictive dialer actually gets you in contact with a customer is magnificent as well. You'll see on this customer, there's an 80% reach rate. So in other words, they've grown something like, it looks from 80 calls to 160. That's what, 100%? That's quite good. Again, you guys can go and read the entire story on the QR code. Construction companies, same old. They had about 600 people that they'd had to set 3,000 interviews down for, and it would probably take them years to do this, right? Or probably a year. And they got through this within 3 months. That's it, yes. Thanks for that. And they're still using the predictive dialer today for other projects. Like I've gotten them to use the predictive dialer for their accounting and their debt collecting, or rather their debtors department. I've gotten them to use Salmo in every single department, because Salmo's not just the dialer; it's got a powerful CRM tracking service behind it. It's got a lot of reporting. It's shared information. It's cloud based. It's all the things you want. So what or my pitch to them was basically that they've got this in their sales, right? So if tomorrow somebody needed an urgent invoice from me and I wasn't in today, and I know that I spoke to them, my last telephone call was on Salmo, and it's all recorded and it's all there, and the notes are automated. So when my debtors department then picks up the call with, say, Adam, and Adam says, yes, but Zakia was supposed to send me this invoice. She can say, oh yes, I see the last conversation you had. That was yesterday. So I've already populated the invoice for you. I'll send it off to you right now. And that's what you want. You want all of your staff understanding what your customers need. Salespeople need to know what debtors are doing. Debtors needs to know what sales are doing, so that we speak in one language, so that it looks like we are completely fluid within our departments and we've got excellent communication. And that's why Salmo brings a new generation of dialing, because it's coupled with some heavy CRM tech. Um, and I don't think that there's a dialer out there that's really coupled with CRM. I haven't, I mean, I've dealt with all the big names, 3CX. There's a lot. There's some weird things on the market as well, and none of them really have this. It's not sales specific, and then moreover, it is not business specific. It doesn't broaden your horizon to see exactly all the possibilities that you can have with it. So our gift to you is a beautifully packaged sales guide that was put together by myself and the team. Mostly the team, I'll be very honest. They are awesome at what they do. I've got a beautiful team backing me. And you guys are all
lucky. Yeah, I say thank you, Zaki, for a nice team. Yeah.
You're a great team. I've got a great
I'm
team. A
sure.
lot of them sit very, very far from me, and I'll be very honest. We have regular chats. It definitely is the way of the future, but telephones are not going away. Definitely not. And neither is cold calling. It's the only way to get out there and actually find some people to speak to. People are not very they're not very comforted by you just dropping in. I personally wouldn't be okay with that. I do always give a telephone call first, even when setting up face-to-face meetings. But then again, I must be honest, even when I was doing face-to-face sales, I sold more over the telephone than I could ever sell face-to-face. My face-to-face was just to say face, to sort of visit and have a quick chat. When I was selling, I was doing a lot of that on the telephone, and that's where you get sort of a lot of the explanation. You get to sort of sit with the customer and really they divulge what it is that's going on. I
I just
think
want to add. I just want to add some few words about the sales guide. It's completely free. You can just go via this QR code and download it. Also, we will additionally send it via mailing for a post-webinar mailing. There is answers for all questions what can be asked by salespeople. Yes, and of course for the main question of our today webinar. Yes, how to get how to make cold calling efficient again, like that, or how to start to hot leads in 5 days. All this you can read deeply in this sales guide, but I think Zaki can now answer this main question of this webinar. Yes, how to make cold calling from cold calling to hot leads in 5 days. Lucky.
So, so in everything that we've discussed, I think everybody gets that my main focus is about the touch. you got to give yourself 5 days. And if you can't do it in 5 days, that's just not the customer you're going to hit. I definitely think that you can come back to a customer at a later stage, and there will be a different buyer, perhaps, or a different person in charge, or perhaps that person could have forgotten about you. So there's definitely never a lost, I would say, never a lost account or a lost sale or customer. There's different ways of going around that. But if you're going to do it in from 1 to 5 days, you're going to have to go and you're going to have to make those relationships. Your gatekeepers are important. You need a system where you are keeping track of everything that you've said to the customer. Because going back to what you last said is important, because they get a sense that you've actually remembered, when in actual fact it's impossible to remember everything you speak about to 100 to 200 customers every month. Um, but with Selma, you definitely can do that. Please be sure to book a demo with us, get in contact with us. We will share my numbers from a South African point of view and everybody else's emails. If you guys want to get in contact, the demos are free. I'm happy to do them. I'm happy to trial you guys for a couple of days as well on the software and just go through full deep training. Um, Obviously, like I said, that the software is quite advanced. It's very scalable. So it's never, ever going to be Salmo or our Salmo. It's going to be your Salmo. It's going to be your Salmo the way you want to build it, the way you see your business, the way you work with your business. Um, we always have what we've done with a lot of the customers that's come on board from a South African side is that we stay close, or I personally stay close for the first 5 months at least. And we tailor make Salmo to your actual specification. We've got an awesome API, integrates with absolutely anything. We've integrated beautiful things like WhatsApp and Facebook and funneling of all those leads wherever you're putting them on market, from Instagram to your website and all of those things. And we've really, really gone far to sort of automate a lot of those features. Even putting in notes are voice automated, so no more typing notes. And that's quite a cool feature. So I'd like for you guys to see it. Please get in contact. I'm happy to speak to everybody. And I'll be waiting for the calls and emails.
Of course, yes, we wanted to show you the product
Yeah.
today, but unfortunately, in case Flo's sharing, we can do it, but we definitely can do it in demo. Okay, maybe you have any questions about sales, lead generation, cold calling, warm calling. You have an amazing chance to ask to Zaki. And she will definitely answer everything. If you don't have any questions, we will kindly send you an email with feedback form to know better where to improve our way of speaking with our colleagues, customers, or anyone else who is ready to share their experience with us. If time is oh, well, Pradish, yes, we definitely can have a quick demo, but I don't know if Zaki, is it possible now?
I'm just going to try to connect again.
Yeah, Team DC, thank you too. Best
Please tell
you.
me, guys, please tell us what you thought of our webinar. It is our first, but we definitely wanted to make it as informative and very, very sort of interactive. We hope we didn't bore you guys too much.
Yeah, thank you. Pradish, I think for today it's not easy to organize the demo. Better to just book a time. It's free. You don't need to pay for that. You just book time, and Calendly, Valerie sent the message there. You can just book the time, and we will show you our best. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Thank
not
you.
connected.
Thank you.
I'm very happy to do after hours. I do meetings up until 7 o'clock. So if it does happen a bit later, I'm going to ask that the team does share a WhatsApp or a chat or We use Telegram. We're very very global.
Also, we have a question from YouTube. Any tips on closing deals?
Yes, I think tips on closing deals is my main tip. Never be afraid to ask for the money.
Yeah, the
Never
main
ever
tip.
be afraid to ask for the money. It's very important. Ask your customer, what is your budget like? Do you have a budget for this? After you've given them the quotation, and you've given them a day to look over it, um, phone them up, or go and see them, and find out, is this in your scope of budget? Do we have to break it down? What can we do as a company to get you started? Definitely don't be scared to ask those questions. If you leave them thinking that there's an open-ended to this, and you're not really, or you don't create any type of urgency, they definitely wouldn't take it in their own hands. Remember, customers don't really want to spend money, but we know that they need these products.
Thank you, Zaki. If there is no Landria, have we answered your question? Maybe you need more tips. I don't know. I hope yes. If no, you can just email us, and maybe we can have a short discussion about it. Why not?
Yes.
Okay, then. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope we will see you on our next webinar. Zaki, maybe you want to tell anything, and we will close the stream.
Thank you. Thank you, Dana. Firstly, thank you everyone for having joined. Thank you so much for listening and sitting through. It's been an amazing experience. My experience with the company is now only of 5 to 6 months, but I can tell you it is an awesome journey. Having worked in sales for so long, and now working with the product, because all of 99.9% of our team works with the product. It's something that has set things aside for me. It's something that has really, it's come into my life and made it easier. I think the hardest part for a salesperson is having to do that admin, having to keep up with the conversations while you're chasing the deals. And I've never had a more fluid, a more free-flowing way of working. It's absolutely amazing. I know you guys are going to enjoy it. Please come on demos and just sort of connect with us, speak with us. We're here.
Yeah, thank you. Let's close the stream. Have a great evening.